Now we have a new Club of Rome document. They're calling in the Euro and in England for arresting people. Arresting people. Oh, they've called for it in news articles, but now they're calling for it in government. Arresting you if you point out the Antarctic and Arctic ice shelves just got bigger. Record level in 30 years. You will be arrested. I mean, is there any doubt about the tyrannus we're facing? Is there any doubt about what is looking us in the eyes? Is there any doubt about the system that we are dealing with here? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of documents a year. Editorials publicly written by the Financial Times of London and others calling for a global tyranny. The head of the Gaia movement coming out last week and calling for an end of freedom and a planetary tyranny. The good tyranny. And then I see propaganda like this. Nearly half of U.S. households escaped Fed income tax. I see this every day in different news permutations, different configurations. AP's written several of these articles. Nearly half of U.S. households escape Fed income tax. No, they don't. What do you think Social Security is? You're never going to get any of that money, or you're going to get a tiny amount of it. Don't you know that they just don't hire more people, or people get paid lower wages because they've got to match your Social Security? Instead of making $15 an hour, you make 10. Instead of making $16 an hour, you make 11. Instead of making $20 an hour, you make 15. Instead of making $30 an hour, you make 20. All this is passed on to you. And then there's all the other hundreds of fines and fees and taxes. And for the 47% that don't visually see the taxes, you don't get most of those deductions. And it's all written in the fine print. Let me ask somebody working at McDonald's for $9 an hour. Is about 25% of your check out of that each time? Do you see that down there? The number you would have gotten versus what you're getting? You're being taxed by the private Federal Reserve. Yes, you're paying, but they're putting this propaganda out there about rob thy brother. And oh my gosh, 47% are robbing the other 53. That money doesn't even go to you. You don't even get any of that. Other taxes pay for your welfare. It all goes to the private banks. Tax day is a dreaded deadline for millions, but nearly half of U.S. households, it's simply somebody else's problem. About 47% will pay no income taxes as of 2009. Either their incomes were too low or they qualified for enough credits, deductions, and exemptions to eliminate their liability. That's according to projections by the Tax Policy Center, a Washington research organization. Let's say you get paid $20,000 a year, and about $8,000 of that gets pulled out in taxes. That's the average. And then you get $1,000 back like a monkey. You go out to your mailbox, and you never paid attention to the money being taken out of your check, but you go out there and get a check. I got a check from the IRS. I like it. I like it. You like it, huh? You like that? You think that's cute? Think that's funny? Well, there's a reason you're poor. There's a reason there's no upward mobility. There's a reason things cost so much. It's the stinking offshore banks. It's the banking dictatorship. And you're going to live just like people in Latin America or in the poorer areas of Africa and Asia and Eastern Europe, okay? Those countries are all run by private banks. That's why they're poor. We are back live. Thank you for joining us. 2 hours with Gerald Salente coming up. We'll also check in with Tax-Free Day, April 15th. Movement getting a lot of traction around the country. We're very honored to support it. I'm going to open the phones up in the first 30 minutes of the next hour. 1-800-259-9231. I want to recap the situation with Obama hyping nuclear terrorist attacks, atomic terrorist attacks inside the United States. And we're seeing lots of hype in the last year in a preparatory phase for this? Is it just a psychological act of terrorism by the globalist, as we know the Homeland Security admits they've done illegally, or are they preparing us for a real attack? I've got my ears up. I've got my sixth sense tingling here, saying, danger, Will Robinson, danger. Continuing with the tax situation, the big private central bank holders that hold stock in the Federal Reserve are now a year and a half plus into the trillions they've stolen that they promised were to unlock mortgage loans. And they've actually reduced the amount of mortgage loans since then and are not refinancing with people, or they're doing it in even worse terms than people previously had. This is out of the Wall Street Journal. Banks rebel against push to redo loans. And it continues, Bloomberg, feds shouldn't reveal loans, banks vow to tell high court. Well, we've got the memos and the emails from Geithner when he was New York Fed chairman. That's the real office that runs it, before he was Treasury Secretary, working with his former boss, who was the Treasury Secretary, Paulson, telling the banks, do not tell the public or Congress where the money is going. And we've all got them in testimony. We've got this in Obama Deception and Fall of the Republic. You've all seen them on the news saying, we won't tell you where the money went. And then when it comes out it's illegal for them to do that, they say, we never told anybody not to say where it went. Then Congress says, so where did it went? Where'd it go? I'm not going to tell you. I mean, it's just, we need world government. Well, I don't want world government. Shut up, nut. It doesn't exist. Tell us where the money went. No. Well, we have these memos where you told people illegally to hide this from the feds. I didn't do that. Okay, well, where's the money? I'm not going to tell you. I mean, it's just, they couldn't get away with this if the public wasn't just dumbed down, but just doesn't know how things work, isn't interested, wonders why you're losing your job or getting your pay cut, or why they're taking your pension fund or taking part of your pension fund. You're wondering why all this is happening, but you don't care to actually get the facts and stop it. I know our listeners do, but a lot of people out there, they're helpless, and that's why the globalists are doing this. They look at us and they say, these people are chumps. They're just like people in the third world who we've got a police state over. Let's rob them. How bad do we rob them? We rob them something fierce. We never stop. We don't give them quarter. We don't back off. We go all the way. We nail them. And so that's the situation that we face as a society. Meanwhile, Neil Armstrong, Obama-hurting space effort. Former astronaut Neil Armstrong has issued a strongly worded rebuke of President Barack Obama, criticizing the president for proposed revisions to the U.S. space program. Armstrong, along with astronauts James Lovell and Eugene Cernan, called the proposal devastating in a letter obtained by NBC News. Yeah, what, $10 billion to the space program? Obama wants to cut it by more than half. I mean, that's chicken feed. But again, NASA is just the fake space program. The real space program is highly classified.